Welcome back. So lots of questions about the new school year. Many learners may have to go online at some stage during this pandemic. Let's face the facts, though, e-learning is not always that simple, especially in this country. Mike Murelia joining us now for more on this one. So, Mike, some activists say internet access should be treated as a basic human right. I guess the COVID crisis is proving their point.
For sure, Sean, you've actually got to spare a thought for young learners like this one who are getting ready for the new school year, and all sorts of questions about how they're going to access the internet, especially in rural areas, rural parts of South Africa. And we're going to explore that, the so-called digital divide in this country. You know, a lot of wealthy parents will just be able to say, here's the Wi-Fi password, go online and do your lessons. But I'm afraid for a lot of parents, particularly in rural areas, it's not quite that simple. We're going to take a look, in fact, Sean, at the General Household Survey from 2019. And this looks at how people are actually able to access the internet around the country. And what you'll see here, Sean, is very few South Africans actually have that so-called fixed line internet. Perhaps it's a fiber line, for instance, where they have that internet constantly available in their homes. In fact, the average for South African households, just 9% have that fixed line infrastructure into their homes. In the metro areas, it's about 15%, so you're talking about 1 out of every 6 homes in the big cities. In the urban areas, 7%, and take a look at that, Johan, just 1% in rural parts of South Africa. So that would make e-learning, online learning, really, really difficult for a lot of pupils. Thankfully, Sean, we do have an established infrastructure when it comes to that. The smartphone industry in South Africa has really exploded over the last few years, and that has provided some access to the internet for a lot of people in those communities, particularly the poorer communities in this country. You can even conceivably, if you have a laptop in those areas, access a laptop through, for instance, a dongle or a 3G SIM card. So there is some reprieve for those parts of the country where internet is not readily available. And certainly that has made a difference. Take a look again at the General Household Survey, and we'll look now at those South Africans who are able to access the internet via mobile devices. The average, much higher than the previous graph I showed you. 59% of us are able to access the net with mobile devices. In the metros, once again the cities, we're talking almost 70%. Urban areas, 6 out of 10 South Africans, and in the rural parts of the country, 44%. Much higher than that 1% that I showed you a little bit earlier. But, Shahan, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's just 44% of those households in remote parts of the country. There is a big digital divide between the rural and the urban, and I think that's something that the Basic Education Department will want to address, Shahan. Why is there such a big divide in South Africa? Well, partly because of infrastructure. I think also because of cost. People in the cities tend to be wealthier. They tend to be able to afford smartphones, and they can pay for the data. That's something that South Africa really needs to address, the cost of data and the cost of actually getting the internet in your hands and at your fingertips. Sean?
Yeah, definitely the case. And we know there's been a fight with cell phone providers, network providers about the cost of data.